right, so what's next? Let's try something new. How about some Twitter posts? There were a lot of posts over the past few days, but the following really caught my attention. How about this one? That is Natalie Bryant. Got accepted to USC. This is just pure joy. Look how happy she looks. I'm sure Kobe and Gigi are up in heaven high-fiving. Good for you, Natalia. And shout out to Vanessa, your mom, taking care of business. There we go. Go Trojans. How about this one? Notre Dame's Pro Day, Liam Aikenberg. Let's see how many he does. This is not the combine, but the Notre Dame's Pro Day. This guy's just a monster. Not sure what the record is, but he's doing a lot of them right now. Actually, I do know what the record is. I think it's 50, and it was back in the 90s. 2 plates on each side. That's about 225, right? That's what they do. But this is crazy. I can only do 1 plate on each side. Liam Aikenberg of Notre Dame, 6'5", 302 pounds of a beast. I think he's a first rounder for sure. Okay, let's go a couple more. We know this guy. It's crazy how we used to cover Antioch and Najee Harris, and he was actually one of our GSF Game of the Week MVP his junior year, and as you all know, he went on to Alabama, national champ now, and he's going pro! And he wants to make sure people know how to say his name right. Let's take a listen.
I only tweet. That's how I know if it was serious. I only tweet out, it's Najee, not Najee, it's Najee.
It's important.
It can't be any harder than what it is. Like, it's Najee.
Exactly.
Where do y'all see the rest of this?
This was a fun interview with ESPN's James Palmer. I like these kinds of interviews because it's so natural and unscripted. Look at Najee. He's just having fun. He's a man now. Can't wait to see him play on Sundays. Looking forward to that. One more. How about this one? UCLA beating the #1 seed, Michigan. I like Michigan. Always have. Since the Fab Five era. But man, the Bruins brought it. And they'll take on Gonzaga Saturday. And we're going to need to hurry back to the GSF headquarters after the St. Francis Sarah game to watch this one. Finally, one more. I promise. Last one. #1 Stanford women's hoops advanced to the Final Four after beating Louisville 78-63. They were actually down at halftime, and they came back. And that right there is Midi alum Haley Jones. That is so cool. I met Haley when she was a freshman at Midi, and we did a feature on her, and I always knew she'd be doing something like this in the future. And man, we got some ballers here in the Bay Area. One of the GSF all-time great athletes that we witnessed live, Haley Jones. Not sure when the game is, but congrats to Tara Vanderveer and her squad. I think they're going to go all the way to the championship. Stanford, every Bay Area's high school athlete's dream school, but won't admit it. Does that make sense? Well, speaking of championship and Stanford, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, one student athlete competed in the NCAA wrestling finals representing, well, not really his school. You see, he goes to Stanford, but Stanford cut the wrestling program shortly after the COVID lockdown hit. And there's been some finger pointing and some drama, controversy around this whole issue with Stanford wrestling. It's just crazy because they actually had multiple guys in the quarterfinals, I believe, but one guy in the finals. It's Shane Griffith. He won the 165-pound title, beating Jake Wenzel of Pitt. Are we even allowed to use some of these footage? We're using it. Oh well. Just a few seconds. If you want to see this match, I mean, there's a link down below. It's a really emotional match for Shane, and I congratulate him for doing what he did. There's actually a wrestling coach from Fremont High School Coach Daniel McCune. I talked to him not too long ago for our GSF Uncut segment, and that's going to be a totally separate video because it's a long conversation. But here's what he had to say about the whole controversy with Stanford. Check it out.
That's the danger, right? Like when I talk about the worry about the new normal, that's the danger, because those programs took advantage of the situation. There's no other explanation. All of a sudden COVID hits and they use that to cut programs. I mean, Fresno State just came back. That one was blindsiding. And Stanford, I mean, look, Stanford's not the place it used to be. Like, it's obviously become a money-hungry, not community-driven. I mean, that used to be an institution that valued social justice. Yeah, I heard a stat about that Stanford program that 50% of the kids that wrestle at Stanford are non-traditional Stanford-going kids, right? So 50% of that team is not your average, not your legacy Stanford person, not from upper class socioeconomics. You know what the percentages of kids on the campus that are not Stanford, traditional Stanford-going kids? 10. 90% of the kids on campus are traditional Stanford-going kids, however they determine that. So that wrestling program was literally providing opportunity and social mobility, right? And social mobility is nothing more than the American dream. So, I mean, you want to simplify some of these things, specifically with Stanford. They're just cutting the American dream. Cool, go ahead, put more money into the Hoover Institute. That's sure helping. Like, get out of here. Like, that's, we used to go to the duels and we used to do our best to support Stanford. And this obviously has nothing to do with the program and has everything to do with the athletic administration, all the way up to the board of trustees. I mean, those guys put together one of the best campaigns I've ever seen. Right, with that, 35, stay at 35. I mean, they had Walsh, the volleyball player, Andrew Luck. They had all these big name people come out. The wrestling program raised like $10 million. The board of trustees just kind of scoffed at them, didn't pay it any kind of mind, and it just shows you where we're at in society, right? Like the people that have that kind of power, that have that kind of influence, just don't care. They don't care. And it's not, wrestling's a blue-collar sport. So it's not that they don't care about wrestling. It's that they don't care about working-class people, right? That's what they're communicating. And I think if people started to realize how significant that was and how completely tied to that wrestling is, maybe we wouldn't see these kind of cuts. California, we run a program in the Bay Area that literally has to convince kids to leave the state, right? That's just disappointing, right? We live in a great place, but to access the opportunities that they've earned from the work they put into our program, they have to leave our state, because the vast majority of the opportunities at high academic institutions are on the East Coast or in the Midwest. The West Coast is failing our sport, so I hope it's not writing on the wall, right? Like if the administrators that run CIF and CCS and the sections start looking to Stanford or to Fresno State for excuses to get rid of us, we may be in trouble, right? And I think it would show the level of character in administration. I think if that starts to happen as a society, we may need to start reconsidering why we're hiring certain people to be administrators. How are we recruiting administrators? How many administrators are there? What's their job responsibilities? What's their pay, right? I've seen a lot of stuff on the number of athletic directors, assistant athletic directors, and those positions at Stanford. And it seems to me obscene. And, I've never been an AD at a college, but I worked in the athletics department at UC Davis. I was the team administrator for the wrestling program. And, I was a student employee in athletics. I was familiar with the front offices there. And, and they cut their program shortly after I left. And they cut that program while they were spending obscene amounts of money trying to scrub the internet of a video they didn't like, right? Like those articles came out later. And the president of the university was just flat out lacked character. And I think people don't realize how important it is to put educators and educational administrators are modeling behavior. They're modeling behavior to our society, to the students, to the parents. And I think we've become so kind of litigious and parent driven that the people that are becoming administrators don't have the strength of character, you know, in general, that we need to see to fight for these programs. It's beyond me how anyone can make an argument cutting a program is a good thing. And that's kind of what Stanford's doing. It's like, it's disappointing. It's disappointing in an institution that I've looked up to for 40 years, right? Like, to have them behave so flippantly about such important programming. I mean, I'm not paying any money to go onto that campus again. You know what I mean? Like, they've lost my support. So I'm sure that's not a huge concern for them, but it's sad. It's just sad state of affairs.
Well, there it is. It's going to be interesting how this whole thing's going to get handled. It sucks because Stanford is like our pride and joy here in the Bay Area. Kind of. It's like a perfect school. I mean, don't you guys think? It's like you have smart people, great athletes, a lot of like big name individuals like went there. And anyways, I should just stop talking about that. But hopefully Stanford Wrestling will get reinstated and everybody will be happy.